how I completely lost the trust in universe and then got it back. A story of spiritual awakening. So there is not one thing that leads to spiritual awakening. There are many factors and many stories, that one day leads you to a spiritual awakening. There is just not one. But today I'm here, I'm going to share one of my personal story here, um, which which was one of the story that led me to a spiritual awakening. So, so let's just go back to when I was a child. So I was maybe in first grade, or maybe even younger than that, maybe KG nursery, I don't know. And I am at a wedding, okay, and you know how kids are, okay, kids just looking for some kids, to play. So I am also looking, for kids to play with me, and I came across a girl, okay, and we, of course, we started playing together. It was just, and I was more than usually happy because she was more than usually happy because I am more than usually happy because I don't know, I don't know why, but I was always surrounded by boring kids around me. I mean, yeah, I never knew why children just won't play. I don't know what's the problem with them. But yeah, so I found this girl. I was more than usually happy. And finally got someone, and now she's also playing. She's agreeing to play. She is also playing with me. She's also more than usually happy, and I don't know why. She is also very happy. I know my reason because I don't expect people to play, kids to play because I don't know kids. I don't know. Kids were boring with around me. So yeah. So we both are playing, we both are loving it, and then we played for quite a time, and then it was time to leave. The wedding procession was about to leave. To the wedding venue. Okay, we were at home around where the wedding was. We were somewhere in a tent or something, and we were quite playing, and then it was time for the wedding procession to leave to the wedding venue. So, I mean, she grabbed my hand, she held my hand very strongly, and then she took me to her parents, to meet. So she started introducing me to the family, okay, and and that was a time of shock for me because when she started introducing me, I found that she was unable to speak. So she was dumb basically. She could not articulate and speak properly. Well, yeah, it was kind of very bad, and I just kept looking at her in shock. What? She cannot speak and I can speak and she cannot speak. So it was a kind of a shock for me. Like, I've never seen somebody like that ever before, and I thought that universe was quite unfair, and I quite lost trust in the universe. Like, why would universe or why would God do anything like this to a child, who is so sweet? So yeah, she was introducing me to the family. She was very happy, and at that point I realized a few things. I realized why was she more than usually happy, that she just even took me to her parents, tried to introduce me. Her family was like quite big, something like a joint family it was. So I'm sorry for the background voices. I am right now in the open, so yeah, you'll hear all these voices. So yeah, she had a big family. She had a joint family, and there were a lot of you know people out there. She was introducing me one by one. At that point, I realized that not many kids play with her, because maybe she was different, and not many kids play with her, and that is why she's more than usually happy. And she's introducing me to the family and stuff like that. And though she was very joyful and everything, but then I was like stumped there for a moment, and then I just then I just want to run away from that place and cry so hard, looking at something like this exist. Like somebody cannot speak, okay, and and I also knew at that point that if I leave from here, then she would get the idea that I am also, being mean to her just because I got to know that she isn't speaking, and I'm leaving. That would be, she would think that I'm being mean to her. But I just so much wanted to cry in some corner, you know, by seeing something like this. So I kind of, tried to take my hand from her. She was really holding me very tightly and kind of tried to take my hand from her. And I was just wanted to run away, and I did exactly that. I just ran away from that place in midst of she introducing me to the family. There was still some family members she had me to introduce, and I just left it. And I think she was 1 or 2 years older than me. Yeah, so she must be 1 or 2 years older than me. So I don't know what happened. I just left that place completely. I didn't want to be there, and I don't want to cry in front of her for her, at her face. So I just ran away. Ran away, and I was in some corner completely crying over the whole thing, that how can universe be so unfair? Okay. And my parents went looking for me all over because it was time to leave, and they were quite upset also, like what just happened. So they found out that their daughter is quite sensitive as a person, and they quite became overprotected for me, since then, as parents. So I also subconsciously picked that up, that being sensitive means being that I have to really protect myself. Okay, like being sensitive is like not a good thing, you have to really protect yourself. So something like this I subconsciously picked up also. That's another story completely, you know. But yeah, the very first question, and she was quite happy, I don't, like, I think somewhere she had accepted the fact that she is what she is, but still I could just see her so joyful, and there it was me feeling, why is universe so unfair? So yeah, then I, of course, when I grew older, and I read Buddha's story as well, and I just found a similar, story, Buddha's story also. Buddha was a young prince, and he went into uh, he went out for some moment, and he saw three things, a dead man, then he saw a diseased man, and something like this. He saw three things, and it was such an intense experience for him, and then he was like, I want to know the truth. That experience also for me was very intense somewhere. I remember my whole body filling up, and feeling, what? How can this occur? How can universe be so unfair? You know, and of course I used to, whenever I used to be out, I used to look, at people being on roads and stuff like that. I mean, it is an intense experience for me as well, somewhere some form of intensity is there in these experiences for me. And I as I grew up, trust, started eroding and eroding and eroding, you know and then I remember I started writing poems, and because I was always a very sensitive person, so an empath, who absorbs a lot of energies. So they're very sensitive to energies and everything around them, to their environment. So I started writing poems because I always felt very overwhelmed. So I think in class 8th I wrote my first poem. I used to write poem on rain, on nature and stuff like that. And I remember in maybe ninth or maybe in 10th, I wrote my second or third poem that was on animals. So I wish I still would have that poem, but I think I've displaced it a few years ago. Yeah. So that poem, I wrote that poem on animals. So what I really wrote was like why animals kill each other. Okay. So as a kid, we were all asked, to watch Discovery TV and stuff like that a lot. And I hated Discovery TV. I mean, there was still a good content on National Geographic, there was still a good content on History TV. But Discovery always showed wildlife and how a lion and a tiger is killing deer, and how sharp it is, how sharp his eyes is, how big his brain is, and there I'm sitting as a kid being really angry over the lion, over the tiger. Like, why does he has to kill an innocent deer? And I'm really angry over it. Like every time he just catches his food and he's eating, and I'm just so angry over the whole thing. And I have always been a questioner in some ways. I never liked how the world was. While I was young, things changed for me as I came into spirituality. So yeah, so I kind of used to write those kind of poems, and yeah, so somewhere these questions were always there, and somewhere my trust was quite eroding, as I saw the world over the years as I was growing up. Then there came a point in my life did when I gave my all. Okay, I did a whole lot of hard work and things didn't work out. Okay, the result didn't came as I desired. Okay, and that was like also a point, like what is this, what is the problem with this universe? Isn't it like my hard work supposed to be rewarded by the universe? you know what is the problem? Like, why isn't this universe very fair? So that was my whole problem. Okay, what कहते हैं ना कि अभी चिंगारी लग रही है, चिंगारी लग रही है, चिंगारी लग रही है, and then there comes a point when it's like a complete fire. So now I was completely burning, okay, in the question. When it really came to me, when it really happened to me, I think the fire started burning in me. Like, why? Why is universe so unfair? Why can't it give us that what we want? What's the problem? Even if we're also doing the hard work for it, and I gave my all. What is its problem? So yeah, that was a point. And yeah, and then of course I came into spirituality. I started reading Enlightened Masters, and for a moment I started to just enjoy and celebrate, I guess, and leaving everything aside. I didn't have answers, and I didn't knew if I'll ever get the answers. Also, I didn't even expect I'll get the answers. And I don't know. I went into a college life and everything. I started to enjoy and stuff like that. I was like, I don't know what about these questions, and if I'll ever get those answers or not. But I think when you really start to enjoy and not, less care about things and stuff, you just need to be just open, okay, about the world around you. Don't try to suppress any question, just be open about it. And when you're really happy and not searching for the answer will appear. So answers really literally starting to appear in front of me, and I never knew that I'm walking my spiritual journey now. I mean, I was always walking my spiritual journey since I was born. Everybody is walking this spiritual journey since they are born. But it's like there comes a point when you're really consciously walking it. So I think there came a point when I'm really consciously walking it, because I am now feeling that, okay, I can get my answers. Okay, I can get my answers. So what I really found, was that it was my ego to think that universe was unfair. universe is exactly very fair, and it's probably the most fairest. you know I mean, God can still be mercy, and forget, I mean, maybe forgive you your karmas and stuff like that. But universe, the soul inside you, it's just so accurately and so just and fair. Like, no one can even imagine the machine it is, okay, the software it is. So I started getting my answers, and it was my ego. At the end, that girl was happy, isn't it? That girl was happy, and it was just me who was sad, okay, looking at her. She, and who said that if you cannot speak, it's end of the world? There's so much more to that girl, isn't it? It was my ego to think that the lion had to kill the deer, okay? I mean, um, who said that? Maybe that deer went to another life form which is more higher in consciousness. Maybe that deer was killed, but it just went into a new life form that was still higher in consciousness. You know, so and 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 death is not something to be mourned for, okay? Death, mortality, these are the systems of universe, and that gives us, a purpose in life somewhere, okay? Just because we know we have to die, I mean, the whole lot of decisions I make in my life, I to make really important decisions in my life, I really have to think, I have to see myself at my deathbed. Like, if I'm at deathbed, am I going to regret not doing this, doing that, doing this, doing not doing that? That's how I take my decision. So mortality is also beautiful. And who said that you have to mourn, in the death? You can celebrate death as well. Who knows what is happening to the deer, after life? Maybe he somewhere wanted that, you know or maybe if he didn't want it, that maybe universe wanted it for him, and he's going to have something else. I mean, there are a whole lot of disabled, people around who've done wonders in their field. uh, there are people who are blind, but how amazing are their other senses, and they're doing so good in the world, okay? And I see, when I really started to work out and everything, I saw there were still disabled people around me, and they were doing their, normal jobs in a very amazing ways. So I think it was just my idea, my brain, who thought who thought something, but it wasn't true at all. Then, yeah, definitely, I didn't get what I wanted, when I did my hard work, in the third situation. But what I got, rather, what I got other than that, was exactly what I needed. you know I mean, I was very angry over, somehow, over the universe, like, why didn't get what I wanted. But what what I got other than that was so much of, I didn't even knew I wanted that. Okay? So my spiritual journey has always been about, somewhere understanding how stupid our mind is, and it's just an understanding machine, and it cannot grasp, the workings of the soul and workings of the universe. Okay, it cannot understand anything and everything. Okay, and at some point you have to on your journey, at some point you have to understand it's I mean, of course, it's very great in many ways. I mean, of course, I've understood all these facts. Like, what I'm really iterating right now is the understanding of my mind, but my soul is so vast, and there were many times in my life when, I thought certain things, and but whatever just happened, it just it was according to the wish of my soul. Something inside me was doing it. It's actually your soul who is, deciding. your reality. Okay, it attracts exactly what you want, what you need. There are karmic partners around us and there are soulmates around us. So your soul knows and it attracts exactly what is needed at what time. Somewhere you have your karmas, and some. So it just and you may think it's your mind is going to think ideas, it is sad, it is happy, it is good, it is bad. But सच्चाई तो ये कि हर एक सिक्के के दो पहलू होते हैं, and that is the reality of creation. My parents thought that sensitivity was not a good thing for me. They thought that I am prone to more pain and I am more vulnerable. So they became very overprotective towards me, and that's what I picked up. So when they were not around me, I always thought I have to protect myself. I became very protective towards my own self. I had walls, while I was young. I had walls around me. I thought that I am supposed to protect myself because sensitivity is like that. But yes, sensitivity made me feel the pain, the suffering of even others. But who said that it's bad? I mean, sometimes it's a privilege too, that you can understand it, someone's else suffering also. And and also, when I walked on my spiritual journey, when I started to meet God, and when I started to sit in meditation, when I started to sit in nature, I found that I am able to connect with it also very rapidly. you know तो कोई भी चीज़ एक अच्छी या एक बुरी नहीं होती है. Okay, it's our mind, and how small is the understanding of our mind. But soul, its vastness को समझना इस mind की बस के बाहर है. And yeah, I though my sensitivity made me more vulnerable and prone to human sufferings, but it also made me connect to nature, to universe, to God also very quickly. you know so yeah, it's who said that something is bad and something is good. We bring our fears inside. Oh, no, 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 it's so bad, it's so bad, pain ho raha hai, pain ho raha hai, pain ho raha hai. But it's good. Everything, whatever is happening, is exactly fair, and it's exactly how it has to happen. And yeah. And still, I'm walking my spiritual journey, and there are a whole lot of things that I still don't understand from my mind. But I know that something inside me is working. My soul is working. You know, and yeah, things are happening. So it's not really what we think. Yogic culture, we also say we are not the body, we are not the mind. It's so true. It's your soul inside you who is governing everything, and it's very silent. Okay, and you think that your mind is actually operating things, but no, our mind is sticky. It attaches to fear. हम डरेंगे, हम चिंता करेंगे, तभी शायद चीज़ें होंगी. Just don't waste your energy on your mind. Your soul knows exactly what is supposed to happen. Your soul knows exactly what should be done. I hope you like the video. Share, subscribe, and like. Thank you.